You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
I didn't do it that time.
You didn't do it.
I didn't do it that time. I knew you. Nah, man. I don't want to be predictable. I don't want to be predictable. And for all y'all who know that you know, normally I do the annoying camera point, which drives.
Now he's just going to talk about it.
But I didn't do it.
Now he's just going to talk about it.
And it was a Jedi mind trick because he did it.
Well, I didn't.
It's a Jedi mind trick. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go to YouTube.
Yes.
You need to go to Facebook. You need to go to madmenradio.com. You need to, search us out, check us out. You'll be able to see what our ugly mugs look like.
You find out if we got, faces for radio and voices for print. You know how that goes.
Faces for radio.
Hey,
sure,
talk for yourself, man.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, man. I've gotten into this thing, man. I've begun to.
Wait. What do you get? Is this a good thing we can talk about on the radio?
Hey,
that you're getting into?
New thing I got into.
Yeah.
Well, what you do is you take peanut butter, right?
What? Hang on.
You just rub it all.
Hang on.
When you rub it all, I'm just, what I'm saying? It's, hey, don't judge me, man. Don't judge me, dude.
It's a good thing I don't have a peanut allergy over here.
We all got our thing. Well, yeah, if you got peanut allergies, you don't want to try this new thing that I've been doing because, it gets.
All right, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're keeping it clean.
Yeah, we're keeping it clean, man. It's FCC Radio, man. This is KLDC 1220 AM, man.
Right here in the Mile High City.
No, so this new thing I got into, man, I've been calling guys King. What's up, King? You know what I'm saying? I think it's
I got that.
I think it calls men into where we want to be and who we are, and
it's better than what you've been calling them.
Yeah, punk, sucker, fool, all that kind of stuff. And it's speaking life into guys, man. A lot of guys are just beat down these days and going through a lot of stuff, and so the whole idea of kingship and royalty kind of matches up with the idea of sovereignty, man. And
is that your word for the day?
Sovereignty, the word of the day.
Sovereignty.
If you can spell it.
You get a cookie.
If you can spell it, then you didn't go to public school like
it's kind of like rest towel round.
I went to public school and I can't spell it. But we got connected. We got connected with a mutual friend of ours, and man, I had a conversation with this dude, and after like 37 seconds, I said, "We got to make this happen, man. We got to make this happen." And sure enough, we got the man in studio today. And we're going to bring him on the screen. We're going to even put him in the middle of the screen. Look at that. JBK is doing the editing, man. Oh, man. And we got the one and only Mr. Adam Feuerstein in the house. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Nice, man. Man, we are excited to have you. This is going to be a dynamic conversation, man. And it's going to be pretty interesting. And we brought this topic up to some guys that we were just hanging out with over the weekend. And everybody has the same question that I'm going to pose to you right now. Adam, what is masculine sovereignty?
All right, jumping right in.
Jumping right into the deep end, man.
Thank you for having me today, and thank you for your question. I never back down from an opportunity to explain it. Masculine sovereignty, or personal masculine sovereignty, is having governorship over oneself, supreme authority over oneself.
Ooh.
We need more of that.
Yeah, for real.
Especially nowadays.
So that sounds like leadership starting in the mirror.
Yes.
Yep. Man. Okay, so
we had a whole weekend conversation about it. We got the whole crew together, and we were all talking about the same thing.
We've been chewing on this thing for a minute, man. Just leadership starting in the mirror, man. And so let's back up a little bit. Beep beep. Let's put it in reverse. Let's go back. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How you got to be kind of where you are in life and purpose today. A little bit of background history.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of the fortunate people. I worked in construction for a very long time. I had one business in my 20s that I managed to bankrupt it and myself. That was right about 2007. So 2008, of course, that was exciting times. And then about 2014, I got asked to look at another company that was in trouble. Was able to join that company, turn it around. I would later start buying chunks of it, buy the whole thing. And then COVID struck and was able to sell it and basically retire. So in the middle of all that, I met my wife. She came into my life at a time when I was 297 pounds, drank a gallon or two of whiskey a week, and smoked a pack of cigarettes every day, running this company, and my life kind of into the ground. And when she came there into my life, I realized I didn't want to waste time anymore, and I wanted to turn things around. And once I did for myself, we then got to the point where we could sell our business, and we did. She also had a business, a national accounting and finance firm, and she's able to sell that. So her and I are free from our 9-to-5s.
That's amazing.
Yeah, very, very fortunate, and only because of some of the people that we were surrounded by. And so we traveled for a while. We basically started out in Honolulu, made our way all the way to East Africa. And the entire time we were talking about how we can contribute and how we get back. And we had 45 different ideas. But frankly, God put a dream in my mind of talking to men. And then that dream, I denied it. He turned it into a screw, and he screwed it tight enough that my ignorance was finally overcome by grace. And we engaged it. And so we launched The Forge.
Nice.
The Forge. What is The Forge? Perfect segue. Bam! Talk about alley-oop.
Yeah, right after it. The Forge is a men's group. It's a men's company, a men's association. And we talk about and we focus on personal masculine sovereignty. The Forge is the support infrastructure and the community infrastructure for men to be able to do that.
Nice. So if somebody was just popping on here and they wanted to learn more about The Forge and wanted to get into it, or before they signed on the dotted line, as it were, what is it that you kind of do, and how do you take the guys through the steps? Like, what can they expect if we're like, all right, am I just going to show up and he's going to beat me around the head with a wiffle ball bat until I get my head straight, or what can they expect?
Or do we show up and just hug on each other and cry and sing Kumbaya and
that's his kind of Forge. That's his kind of Forge.
Does it involve peanut butter? No, just kidding.
There's no peanut butter.
Okay, good.
There's no peanut butter. Not at this point.
Not yet.
If you show up, Kirk, maybe that changes. But right now, there's nothing against peanut butter. We just don't have any.
They just keep it in the sandwich. Okay, they keep it in the sandwich.
Gotcha.
It goes along with the apple dips. No, the primary focus is our live events. We have those every 2 weeks. Our first one is this week, in fact, starting Wednesday, and it's in the flesh. One of the things that we talk about opposes and has caused really masculinity to shrink is this idea of convenience. That's a part that's really shrunk masculinity in culture around the world, and particularly American culture. And so we wanted to start in the real world and get guys away from the convenience of technology and get into face-to-face, hand-to-hand, and heart-to-heart, and get them in a room, get them talking. And I take personal responsibility for the information and the leadership in the group, and the men take responsibility for seeking their own sovereignty through really looking in the mirror, taking personal responsibility, and then when they've done that, their group, our tribe of men, sit around that and help them to answer and work through, what do I do now?
Yeah, it sounds kind of similar to both Kirk and I's story, where that's kind of how we ended up here. I mean, at some point you got to go, I'm the common denominator in all this mess. And what do I do with that? How do I change that? Or what, how can I turn it into a superpower? I mean, Kirk's story is much more impactful than mine at this point anyway, but it still gets us to the same place of how do I change and how do I turn my traumas into superpowers? How do I turn my pain into purpose? And so, yeah, it sounds a lot like, hey, let's get together, guys, and let's look in the mirror and realize that if, it's up to us, if it's to be, it's up to me kind of thing. We need to, as men, come together and take back our masculine sovereignty, take back our purpose, take back our passion. And a lot of times, unfortunately, gentlemen, that means you look in the mirror. That means you have to take ownership. And I will love what you're saying about the, simple things and comfort and taking some of those away and getting real again. And I've even had those thoughts myself. I'm sitting on the couch with YouTube on and scrolling through my phone and doing nothing all day with my life. And then going, is this productive? Is this getting me where I want to go? Of course not. So why am I distracting myself and sitting in comfort and luxury all day? My little blankie, my beanies, and my heat, all that stuff. Why am I doing this when I could be outside? I could be in nature. I could be doing something that builds me up versus tears me down. And I think for a lot of us, we don't even realize how much we're tearing ourselves down through comfort. So I love that you talked about that.
And that's what happens. We trade something as men for convenience. When we're not out together, it's been generations and generations since I was a necessity, but the masculine's been shrinking for many generations. And one of the reasons, one of the contributing factors, one of the mechanisms that's causing it to be smaller than it was a generation ago is we trade our sovereignty for convenience. Once we're reliant on a convenience, whether that's food service, whether that's streaming service, so we can, sit on our butts and not be active and not take care of ourselves in some capacity, no matter how small. When we engage in those conveniences, we trade a bit of sovereignty. It's more than just being even just apathy.
Yeah.
We trade that part of us, almost like currency. And every time we do that, there's a small part of us that is shrunken.
Yeah,
and it dies, man. It really does. It dies off from a masculinity perspective. You can measure that. I mean, we have this generation of men, have like a huge amount. I don't know, for some reason off the top of my head, I want to say like 30-40% less testosterone than our grandfathers and our great grandfathers did.
It's been falling at a rate greater than 1% since 1986.
Wow.
And it's it's biological, it's physiological at this point. But I think to your point, it's also from a purpose perspective, almost from a now what, and then if you take that into to leadership, into personal leadership, personal development, all the adventure, all those kinds of things. Yeah, I mean, we do trade that. We trade that for the opportunity to sit on our butts and have stuff come to us, as opposed to us going out and making things happen and all those ways that make us feel like and are more of a man when we do those things.
Yeah, I mean, we think about it. We're all of the age. We can remember before computers, before cell phones, when you had one phone that was on the wall in the house, and how much more you had to do to get things done, but how much more fulfilled we felt, and how much more healthy we were, and how much less distraction and less mind chatter we had back in the day when there was one phone. You didn't carry it with you. You didn't have constant pings in your pocket. You didn't have this constant dopamine hits of social media and TikTok and all these different things, emails and it's like the crackberries of the old day. Well, we got these super crackberries now with these smartphones in our pocket, because not only do we have social media and emails and all the business stuff, but then now we have all the streaming services and all the games you could ever want. And all, if you have any issue with, pornography, it's in your pocket. It's right there with you. And then we wonder why we're struggling as men today, because I even myself realize how much I struggle with that when I have that conversation with myself some days. I'm like, I remember when I didn't need this. Why am I so stuck with it? And so, I think sometimes we need to take a step back as men and go, okay, it's time to put it down. It's time to get back out in nature and get out in the woods and do something to make us more masculine, to make us feel more masculine at least, and something to make us more manly.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, women are observing that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So when we were in high school and had to call a girl's house to see if she was around, she wanted to go to dinner, there's a chance her dad is.
Oh yeah, that was always fun.
And so,
hey, Jenny there.
So we had to suffer through that, but the girl in that scenario perceives that practice, and that's a way for her to see our mettle, and to kind of see our ability to be a man and to be strong enough to say, yeah, I like you, I want to go out with you, I'm worthy, right, of being somebody for you to spend time with, maybe fall in love with, maybe have a relationship. They're not seeing that out of convenience.
Right.
So they're impacted too. And so one of our fundamental, like our philosophy on contemporary American culture and how we want to contribute is, as the masculine has shrunk, the feminine has been drawn into the void, drawn into the vacuum. And so you have women who would otherwise don't want to be masculine, aren't looking to be masculine, having to be, as we engage in convenience.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of convenience.
Yeah, we better engage this convenient break.
We're going to convenient to break this thing right down. We'll be right back. KLDC 1220 AM in the Mile High City.
Didn't mean to cut you off, but we had to take a break.
Yeah, that's
about every 13 minutes, and it goes by so fast.
This is good stuff, man. I'm digging this thing. Man.
Yeah, we definitely have to get into the masculinization of the ladies.
Oh yeah, that's like
so.
That's a whole nother Oprah.
That's a whole nother.
But that's deep though, man. That's deep and profound, because they are. Well,
that's what's so good about it is that we can really get into how the balance of it. Like as men became more feminine and more susceptible to comfort.
Yeah,
the ladies had to take up the slack, and then they became more masculine, and now we got the opposite of what we need. Really.
Boom.
You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yes, we are back.
Back
This is the Mad Men Show.
on.
KLDC.
Where?
In Denver, Colorado.
That's right, home of the NBA champs.
Don't say it.
I'm not
Don't
gonna
say it. I'm telling you,
not
they're
gonna
big
say
and they
it.
carry bats.
One day we're gonna have a World Series.
Yeah,
in
we
this
shall.
city.
We shall.
Again, I mean, as far
We've
as
had Super
winning,
Bowls. We had NBA champs. We have
one day we're
NHL
gonna have
champs.
a baseball team that wins.
We might even have had the soccer champs. I don't even know.
Probably.
I don't know.
Anyhow,
We got lots of champions in here, but
we got a champ right now, man.
Yeah.
We got a champ in the house from the Forge, Mr. Adam Feuerstein. Man, we ain't here to man. You just cracked open a can of.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, man, I'm telling you, talking about the whole idea of masculinity shrinking, and then as a result, femininity. And I don't even see. I caught myself because it doesn't even become femininity. Women moving into those spaces that end up being left from the idea of masculinity shrinking, and it's not femininity. To me, it's toxic, or like the whole modern feminist, that whole thing, the boss babe movement and all this other kind of stuff. And to your point, women don't even necessarily want to be pushed into these, but they almost have to be because it's not there.
Yeah, they don't. And we're not talking about all women. I don't pretend to speak for all.
Right,
women,
right.
But speaking through majorities, I have 4 daughters, right in a row. From
What'd you do wrong in a past life?
Yeah. See,
We have 6 kids total. So
Oh, wow.
2 oldest are boys.
that dad that answered the phone when you called, man,
He cursed you.
shoulda-
He cursed you.
He did something to him, and he put a hooch.
No, it's wonderful. But I get a lot, and part of our development comes from my conversations with them. I can tell you with 4 daughters from 21 to 14 years old, they all are dating. They all have told me, independent of the others, one thing in common. Every boy that they've gone out with the exception of a couple, want a mother.
Mhm.
They're like, why is this? One of my daughters told her boyfriend, I feel like I have to call my dad to be safe.
Mm.
Why is that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's incredible.
Well, I mean, there's been such a demonizing and pushing out of the father and the father role, and some of it has been, it's been too epidemic for it not to be, on purpose. Just as men have been leaving their homes, and then feminism was bought and sold by corporate America. Basically, they're like, hey, ladies, you don't need a family, you don't need a husband, you need to go out and get a job, and don't worry about kids. And now they're taking on all these masculine roles, and then the men are being opted out, turned into just wallets and checkbooks because you don't need fathers in the home. And used to be the father was the litmus test for the boy. Like, I'm sure with your daughters, if a boy comes to the house and he's like, I'm interested in marrying your daughter, or I'm going that direction, you're the litmus test. You're telling her what you see and what you feel and what you think about this guy. That's been taken out of the home because men have been reduced to paychecks and checkbooks, and they've lost the impact of fatherhood and healthy masculinity in the home, or even just masculinity. Sometimes you learn the best from toxic masculinity from your father, and you go, I don't want to do that. I'm going to be a better man. But just having that influence in the home has been taken away, and it's been sold so well. This propaganda machine has sold it so well to the ladies where they're like, I don't need no man. And then so many of them, and we have lots of, we run into a lot of ladies in their mid 30s and late 40s who can't find a man now. Can't find a man to do more than just date them and take them out and, have sex with them on occasion, because now they have kids and now they have all this other stuff going on that isn't as attractive to most men when it's not theirs. Like, why do I want to take care of somebody else's kids? And so there's all these different layers of why not having fathers in the home, not having healthy masculinity in society is just branching out into all these areas that it's unhealthy for men, women, children, families, the community, and everything else.
I would say it's a cultural wave, right? It's a cultural wave of a lot of males didn't grow up with the femininity, the softness, that mothering, that emotionally present female woman in the house, and obviously, this is all pontification for my part, but from a cultural perspective, it's been more trendy for women to be the more masculine and men to be the more passive, if you will. And so a lot of these males, again, having a conversation with my son and even his friends at our kitchen table and all that kind of stuff, and daughters and women, et cetera, where, there is not that availability. And so a lot of males grow up and I would maybe even say myself included to a degree, some of our generation, where there's not an emotionally available woman because she was busy trying to be the provider, the protector, and all those other kind of things that maybe she wasn't meant to be or called to be. Then you get a cultural wave of saying it's trendy and that's the way it's supposed to go. Go girl, go boss babe, and all this other kind of stuff, like the empowerment kind of stuff. And empowerment of women is not becoming men. But I think that's where the twistedness of the messaging came along. And then, of course, from a male perspective, a guy's like, well, hell, if you're going to be the boss babe, then I'm not going to be the boss babe. And so maybe I'm inclined to just kind of sit back. I'm not saying any of this is right. I'm just talking about the cultural waves of kind of where things may have gone over the past, generation and a half. And so we get this seesaw up and down kind of thing. And until we get to the point where we kind of begin to level things out back to where they used to be. And I personally believe that it's up to men to begin that trend. Yeah. Men to step into our masculine sovereignty, and men to step into the rightful place and basically, thankfully, acknowledge that, okay, ladies, you don't have to do that anymore. Like, we're here. And then leave it up to the rest of the world to kind of settle out as a result.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's part of it, is the empowerment of women to step into that. It's kind of a natural thing to happen as the masculine shrinks. You're almost encouraging the inrush to the vacuum. I think the solution there, and this is something that we do, is education. So, for example, one of the excuses for that happening, what you're talking about is, well, I don't need to hunt, I don't gather, I don't do these things. So where's my value? The value hasn't changed at all. The equity between the sexes hasn't changed at all. What we need is education. So, for example, I may not have to go out and hunt something and skin it and bring it back and fry it for my family. But that doesn't mean I'm still not in charge of creating space. I'm still not in charge of holding the world back. The world may not be saber-toothed tigers anymore, fair enough. But the world infiltrates our life more than it ever has before. My job as a leader and a protector and a provider to my family in some ways, and this is part of the education, is to push that back. Turn off the phones. Turn off the television, turn off streaming service, turn off pornography, and we're going to have some time where we're connected. We're going to make space for the young boys in our family to become men, for the young girls in our family to experience womanhood, and we're also going to make some space for our wives so that she can be feminine. Women look to men for that part of the leadership. A man leading a woman is not me telling her what to do. That's not what we're talking about. There's too many examples of that in contemporary America. Anyway, I don't agree with any of that. It's ignorant. It's completely ignorant. But rather, we absolutely, we're as applicable today than we ever have been. In fact, in the current state, men who can be leaders, providers, and protectors are more important than they've ever been. There are mechanisms we still need to exercise that. It's just not with our bare hands in the forest anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it started with men during the Industrial Revolution. It used to be young boys grew up right next to their fathers on the farm or hunting or whatever. And then during the Industrial Revolution, and we got factories and things. So now the fathers started leaving the home to go to work. They started leaving for sales jobs. They started leaving, and their presence was missed. And so then the mothers started taking up that slack. And as this kind of continued over the years, and the ladies started going, well, he's not here anyway. Why do I need him? I'm doing all the work. And then once we got the pill and the divorce systems and how things are kind of running nowadays, and then when the court systems go, hey, we'll give you half his stuff and all his money, and you don't you can take the kids with you and everything's great. It sounds like a good deal, but you don't read the fine print. You don't look into the future and realize now you're on your own. Now you don't have that support. And a lot of guys, because their fathers weren't around, didn't learn how to hold that space. And so now part of what we have to do now is reteach ourselves and learn a new masculinity, which starts in the mirror, which starts with that masculine sovereignty in the mirror. We're looking at what was I missing? Like in my example, the way I grew up, it was, emotional neglect. Both my parents were, the way they grew up, I'm sure they got the same treatment I did, which was you got food, you got a shelter, and you're meant to be seen and not heard. You're good. But there wasn't a lot of, hey, how are you feeling? Tell me about your emotions, whatnot. There wasn't, like in my experience, there wasn't a lot of space to emote. There wasn't a lot of, keep it down over there. Don't show your anger. Don't show your emotions. And so now part of my journey as a grown man is to impart to other men how to turn whatever that pain is into their power, into their passion. And just like Kirk with his path, like all of us, we have to start in the mirror and realize that it's where we came from. And so many guys are lost nowadays because they're trying to use an old model for a broken system that doesn't even exist anymore. Now it's a new model for a new system, but it starts with you actually taking time to look in the mirror and go, who am I? What am I passionate about? And what can I change and impact in some other men in the future?
This is why it's fantastic what you're doing, Adam, and guys like you. We don't know what we don't know, and we don't know how to do. We were never trained in the things that we need. We were never trained how to use the sword and the pruning shears and of life. I'm talking about, and we don't know, and so a lot of us, we might be 30, 40, 50, whatever plus years old, but we don't have these things, man. We don't know how to step into this masculine sovereignty. We don't know how to be with other men in the same spaces and not either feel threatened or the need to threaten. We don't know the tools that it takes to create a safe space for women, all these other kind of things. And so when you get together, when you step out in your purpose, like you have, and begin to lead some of these things, man, this is you and what you're doing are the change agents to what needs to happen to help right this culture for men and for women.
Well, and it's compounded now. The technology, if you just look at technology, there's nothing wrong with technology, there's nothing wrong with social media, there's nothing wrong with any of the conveniences that are applied. The problem is that we indulge in them too much. We sacrifice too much sovereignty for the exchange, right? But behind those conveniences, if you just look at the impact on marketing, it's not conspiratorial. There's not some evil machine out there that's after us. They're just trying, that's good business. And a society where the men are subdued are owned by those who are not. And those who are not are ad agencies, marketing agencies, and they have this incredible technology. There's nothing, again, the technology itself isn't bad. I'm not even going to say it's bad the way they're using it. I'm a business guy. I get it. But what I'm saying is, we are now, it's not just, I agree with that the roots are in the Industrial Revolution over a century ago, but the difference is these things have accelerated. And they've accelerated because there are huge machines out there that are profiting from our lack of sovereignty. And it isn't to go out and fight them. One of the things about the Forge is we are anti-nothing. The point here, we're not drawing a line. This isn't about, in America, to be anti-anything is to completely deny half the population and then form just yet another dichotomy. Our country and our human family doesn't need another dichotomy. We don't need something else that draws a battle line. So that's what brings us back to sovereignty. It's something we can do that's deeply personal, it's deeply empowering, and we do it for our own understanding of who we are individually. So it's not about, well, you shouldn't act this way, or you shouldn't think that way, or you should have this view and not that view. It's not even about believing in this God or that God. It's about understanding how you can develop that, because at the end of the day, no matter what God you blame it on, he put that in us.
Yeah. Well, speaking about putting it in, oh wait, no, that's not how we do that.
No. We're gonna put the break in the show. We're
gonna put a break in the show.
No doubt. We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC 1220. We'll be right back.
How we doing, Tanner? Everything sound okay? How we doing? Everything sound okay? Are you not even listening
So
to
you're
us?
obviously paying attention.
He's not even paying attention. What do we pay you for? Got some producers in here.
Tanner's
He's not
the
even
man.
paying attention.
Tanner's the Mac Daddy.
No,
We need to
didn't.
get out on the golf course.
Yeah,
man.
we didn't have Tanner. We would not be here.
And he's got crazy golf skills, man.
There's some crazy skills.
Really crazy.
All right, we ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's bring it back.
Here we go. We're back.
We are.
Yeah.
It's the Three Amigos, y'all.
That's right. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City and on the interwebs.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
We're
The
worldwide,
interwebs,
baby.
The interwebs. We are intergalactic. I bet you right now there's some Martian somewhere listening to Mad Men Radio.
Yeah.
I bet you.
And he's-
Probably on a space station. They're probably listening to Mad Men Radio.
Yeah, he's laughing at us. I can't believe they have those problems.
I
Haven't they
bet
figured it out yet?
Yeah. With,
Silly kids.
with our little small regular eyes and our little small
Or small heads.
Yeah, none of us agree.
How can you even think with them little heads?
For real, that's what it is, man. I bet you they're listening to Mad Men everywhere. You think Martians got men?
They used to.
You
I mean,
think?
it's a little desolate on Mars now. I don't know. I
Really?
don't think anybody's been living there for a while
Huh? How you know, man?
because they had a nuclear war way back in the day.
Get out of here, man. Come on, man. So you've been watching too much.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Well,
Netflix.
you know, all the xenon that's in the soil that they're
Oh,
finding with the
man, here you
rover.
go, man.
I'm telling you, it's from it. You know, most that much
Xenon.
xenon.
Wasn't that like a Princess Warrior
No,
back in the day? Wasn't that a TV show?
it's
Xenon,
a
the
it's a
Princess
noble
Warrior?
gas, man. Come on,
I thought Xenon was a Princess Warrior back in the day.
that was Xena.
I believe you're making all of that up.
That's okay.
Hey, we're not
Believe
making
what
up,
you want.
We're not making up masculine sovereignty.
No,
you know,
we're
a lot
not.
of times when you just even those two words can almost come off like they can almost come off like a projection outward as opposed to projection inward. It can almost come off like, you know, it can ruffle some feathers, I think, in terms of, so are you just talking unga bunga male empowerment, you know, male domination, male whatever. And in actuality, Adam, it sounds like the specific focus and intent is more on the inside, to your point, looking in the mirror with the whole thing.
Yeah, another way to say it is masculine integrity, personal integrity. What is what's your calling? What's your purpose here? What's your understanding of your own life, the things that have happened to you, and the things that you want to happen in the future moving forward? Like what does that look like? It's individual for all of us. Again, it's not for me or anybody else in the world to tell you, but it's about determining for your own self.
Yeah, that brings up a great question. We actually talked about this a little bit after a little Topgolf session on Saturday. What is masculinity nowadays? Because all we keep being shown, all we keep being talked to is like alpha males, this, you know, Navy SEALs, the you know, David Goggins, this is masculinity. But a great point was brought up, and I want to throw this to you, Adam, because I think what we need to do as men nowadays is redefine what masculinity means to us personally. Because you look at somebody like Prince, who was not the most masculine, like as far as typically masculine guy, but he could have gotten everybody's girl. Like he was artistically masculine, like he was 5'0", but he could play every instrument. He was the only man in the studio, but like, you know, he was obviously masculine, but he was, you know, maybe he was artistic masculine. I don't know what you want to pigeonhole it or call it, but he was definitely masculine, but it was a different kind of masculinity than what you typically, you know, associate with the alpha male football jock kind of masculinity.
Yeah, the alpha males and then the Navy SEALs, those are material definitions for masculinity. I don't hold any material definition towards masculinity. What suit I put on, what clothes I put on, you know, if you wear makeup, does that mean you're not masculine? I'm sorry, I don't think it does. I think masculinity I think that the biggest attribute to a person discovering their own masculinity and what that means to them is that tells them and defines their purpose and what to do about it. Clothes don't do that for you. Status doesn't do that for you. What you did in the Navy doesn't do that for you. It's you as the individual, because that's who God created. He created an individual, and he created some of them men, some of them women, and that speaks to their purpose. And it speaks to what they can understand and what they can find comfort in and what they should be seeking in society and among the human family.
So if masculinity is tied to purpose, then what kind of purposes result in a masculine purpose versus a feminine purpose?
Well, I honestly, just to keep it basic, like the three principles of masculinity: protect, provide, and lead. We that's our contribution. Now, there's a million different ways to constitute that contribution, but that's basically what it comes down to. So how do we do that? And certain people do it differently. We have different physical capabilities. You know, we can, some of us can fight better than other people can fight. And so there's limitations in some, but just like anything, where we're weak in one area, we're made up with strength in others. So there might be other ways that we need to do, that we need to exercise, provide, protect, and lead, and apply that to our own life and the people around us that we're providing that service for, that we're serving based on our strengths. And again, that diversity of strength is what leads such power to being able to discover that inside yourself. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I don't think I could have ever been a Navy SEAL. I mean, there's no judgment about that. That doesn't mean when I'm in the presence of a Navy SEAL that I need to feel inferior. I think it's amazing. And in fact, the bridge between those two, that dynamic, I say, is gratitude. It's gratitude and it's respect. So you want to talk about masculine attributes? Gratitude and respect. When I have a conversation with somebody, it doesn't have to be that my victory in the conversation, let's say we're having discourse, is the destruction of the person who thinks in opposition to me. That doesn't define that. If I look at that person with gratitude and I look at that person with respect, I can hear what they're saying. And I don't have to be convinced, nor do I need to burden myself with convincing them. I certainly don't need to destroy them. That's another human being. I don't need to even be politically correct. Mm-hmm. This isn't about not hurting feelings. I still have an opinion, and my opinion matters. But I want to be able to voice that and know that that person is hearing it. And the way I do that is by providing respect and coming from a place of gratitude. I'm glad to hear. I invite discourse in my life. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. I don't ever have discourse in my life and say, well, the only way I'm going to feel like I'm a man or I'm masculine or I won this conversation is by destroying this person with an opposing viewpoint. That's it.
The only people that tend to do that are the people who don't have a self-awareness, that don't have a strong foundation of who they are, and feel threatened by somebody else's opinion. Like, oh, you don't think the same way I do. I now feel threatened. You don't agree with my ideas, which I have hitched my wagon to, and now my identity is attached to these ideas that probably weren't even mine, that were given to me. And because I don't have any sort of self-awareness and self-love and self-appreciation, now I feel threatened by this other man who is just voicing his opinion, who's just voicing a different opinion than my own. And sometimes if we would be honest with ourselves, if we would actually listen to somebody's different opinion, we might learn something. So it sounds like from what the work you're doing, you're helping men get to that, their own point of self-awareness, their own self-foundation, so they can stand strong in the storms of life and not be pushed over by just because somebody has a different opinion, and not feel threatened by, oh, you pray to a different God, or you have a different religion, or you're Republican or Democrat or whatever. I mean, It used to be back in the day, Republicans and Democrats lived next door to each other and talk politics all day long. Now you can't even be in the same room or the same block as somebody with a different opinion. Otherwise, you get canceled.
Yep. Yeah. I would say, well, first of all, I've seen a couple of people kind of like this thing in this video that we got going on here. Of course, we only got a segment left, but you can pop in a comment if you want. If you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, you can type in a comment and we'll see it. And JBK will make you famous.
Well, it has to. If you're on Facebook, it has to be on the Mad Men page.
Yeah, on the Mad Men page.
If you comment on any of our personal pages, we won't see it. Then you'll be yelling at us. You didn't talk to me. Yeah, you was ignoring me.
That's exactly how we all sound too. That's how you sound to us when you come at us with that kind of nonsense, man.
But if you go on YouTube and to the Mad Men of Masculinity channel on YouTube and type in there, we'll see it right away. And we'll make you famous. And then make sure you like and subscribe, because we want to make sure we grow this ship. Get Adam some more likes and followers. Yeah. We'll get Kirk some more money for a haircut, and we'll be good to go.
Easy, man, easy. What? Hey, you see Adam? You see what I got to put up there, man? You see this? We need some radio sovereignty up in here, man. I'm about to reach across this table with some sovereignty, and
well, it's always be directed at me. I'm just trying to be funny.
Yeah, I know, man. Hey, but to tell you, like, based on what you just said, Adam, man, I just reflect back and I try to learn and I try to apply all of these conversations to my life, and man, it's reassuring what you just said, because when I got married a couple months ago, and in my vows I said that I was covenanting with her and with God to be her priest, her provider, and her protector, and so that reassures me based on everything you just said in terms of what those masculine spaces look like in terms of purpose. Now, that being said, I've learned even in the past couple of months that ain't always fun, dude. Being those things, man.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it could be a nut kicker, man. I mean, some days at home. I mean, there's beauty in the passion, and there's even there in the calling. The calling is going to have some level of work to it, and there's beauty in the work. There's beauty in the toil. For a gardener, to get your hands dirty and to dig up the soil and to pull out roots and to plant seeds and to tend to the crops and all that kind of stuff, man. Sometimes it's not fun, but it's rewarding. And I will say that, I love when she tells me that I allow her to just be feminine. I allow her to just be a woman, and she doesn't have to worry about, any of the things that she doesn't want to worry about, quite honestly. I mean, she works. As a matter of fact, she makes financially more money than I do, but she will tell anybody all day, every day that I'm the leader in the household, even in terms of finances and budget, because it just frees her up to not have to worry about stuff. And so anyhow, I mean, yeah, it's just reassuring, to hear that kind of stuff. And I can absolutely, I can vouch in terms of, I've seen the fruits of that coming in my life. And I can't imagine back in the day when I was just numbing life away, addicted to porn, that I could even live a level of purpose that would provide a space like that.
Well, the feminine have storms, and it's not every time, and sometimes there's nothing you can do. Like we want to fix things. We're men, we want to fix it, and Sometimes we can't fix it, but there are times. I know from my own life, and I had to fail at this for a very long time before I kind of put the pieces together. Is there, when there's a feminine storm, sometimes the genesis of that storm, first of all, it's rarely what they say it is about, not because they're lying, because there's something else going on. And what they're asking for is for you to be the leader. And what a wonderful thing to do. What a powerful thing to do. To walk into that room, feel the storm, experience the storm, and push the world away so she can just live it out. Think of that. Think of the contribution that is. Think of the masculine contribution that is to the feminine. So when guys ask, well, I don't hunt and I don't gather and I got grocery stores and I got YouTube and I got Pornhub, what am I supposed to do? That's an example of what to do. It's push everything away, cut the cord. All the power of Google can be destroyed by turning off your phone. Our router in our house is tied to a switch on the wall. When I'm tired of it, you throw the switch, the internet goes away, and things get quiet really, really quickly.
I love that idea.
There's all kinds of things like that you can do. Those are opportunities for men to step up and discover a new way to contribute, not just to the feminine or to the women in their life, but to their cultures and to the people around them in their communities.
Yeah, that's one of the things. One of the analogies we use quite a bit is that, and there's several of them, but the masculine to the feminine is like the masculine is the riverbanks. It creates borders. It creates a boundary, but it gives room for the flow. So I think what is happening nowadays is there's lack of boundaries, and so there's like when the river floods the riverbanks, it just dissipates and it just goes all over the place, and there's no cohesiveness. And so without that collaboration of the masculine and feminine, the boundaries and the river, you don't have the flow. It just goes out, and then so now you don't have a river. You've just got a marshland. You got muddy water basically.
Yeah, and I'd love for someone to explain to me how that's toxic.
Right.
There's nothing toxic about that. The problem with the term toxic masculinity is it makes men who are trying to pursue healthy masculinity without having heard anything in addition to that feel bad or feel like they shouldn't be pursuing what they know is in their heart is right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's the thing is we're supposed to be trying to balance the ship. Speaking of balancing the ship, we should probably take a break. But as men and women, we're here on this boat together.
Yes.
So we each have a job. We each have a role. We each need to play our role, but we've been pulled away from that role. And so right now our role is to take this break, and we'll be right back with the Mad Men Show.
Boom.
Thank you for the comment, Tim. We appreciate that. Making a lot of good points here.
My man, Tim.
You know this guy?
I don't.
Okay.
Do you?
I can't see.
I was going to say if he's one of you.
Go comments
right
up there. Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. I was going to say if you're one of Kirk's friends, I'm not going to put you on anymore, but
Easy.
Tim Ringheisen is my father-in-law.
Boom.
I love him to death.
Nice.
Well, okay, then we'll welcome you back in since you're one of Adam's friends.
Yeah.
I'm just giving Kirk a hard time.
All day long, apparently.
All day long.
Apparently.
It's his turn.
Yeah, it's my turn.
It's not like you don't give as much as you receive.
You're right about that.
There's some days I'm like, what did I do wrong?
But dude, I mean, seriously, when you step into that purpose, really, I think when you step into any kind of purpose, like there's challenge in that purpose, right? But the challenge is where the beauty is. You know what I'm saying? That's why, if you think about it, the reason why we put seals on such a high pedestal is because they made it through buds.
Yeah.
Because they overcame the challenge that came along with the purpose of being a seal. I mean, and you go on and on. The reason we sit back on Sundays and cheer on, quarterback whomever or team whoever is because of what it took for those guys to overcome to be in that kind of thing.
I think we should probably cover the fourth segment with what it takes to get fulfillment, which is struggle. Like you need to be struggling and digging in the dirt and not being comfortable.
Ooh. Boom. All right, let's go. We're back.
Yes, we are.
We are
the Madmen
of Masculinity
right here in Denver, Colorado on
KLDC
1220 a.m.
in the Mile High
City.
Hey, Adam, did we practice that? Tell the truth. Now you would say that. Did we practice that right there? What just happened?
No, that was awful.
We did not practice that. That's just how we
That
roll.
just means we hang out way too much.
That it does.
We hang out way too much.
Spend too much time on the golf course. Hey, can you spend too much time on it?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
The credit cards might say so, but not me.
But that's how we roll around here because that's what we do, man. So we're coming down the home stretch. And we're talking about masculine sovereignty here. First of all, Adam, how many people in your family, man? Because there's been a lot of people liking and chiming in on this video with your last name.
You called
man.
a family reunion and watch this episode.
Dude, I'm serious, man. There's
We
a lot of
appreciate
y'all out there, man. For real, for real. And like we said, if you got a comment, Tim chimed in. If you got a comment, if you go on the Facebook page, directly on the Facebook page of Mad Men of Masculinity or YouTube and put a comment, we'll see it. And, hopefully in this last segment, we can throw it up there if you would like. Man, that, you talked about purpose, and we talked about, purpose being tied to masculinity, and at the same time, there's challenge that's inherent in purpose. You won't find purpose that doesn't come with obstacles. You don't find purpose that doesn't come with challenges. It just is what it is. But there's a reward in facing those challenges. There's a reward in overcoming those obstacles that I think far outweigh the fear in having those obstacles and those challenges in life and that purpose.
Yeah, you brought up a good point in our break. I mean, the reason we watch MMA and we watch NFL and we watch all these guys and we emulate SEALs and special forces because they put in the work. They embraced the suck. They went through the struggle. They became that, that sharp sword. And, maybe not all of us are meant to do that, but we still emulate and respect that. But I think one of the things we're missing as men nowadays is embracing the suck, getting into the struggle and choosing the struggle. Because you know what? I'm sorry to tell you, life's going to suck. There's going to be pain. There's going to be struggle. But you actually have the ability to choose where you have pain and where you have struggle. And it could be something that you are passionate about and purposeful towards and can send your life in a direction that is a part of your passion and purpose. Instead of, because if you don't do that, basically it gets chosen for you. You work a 9 to 5 and somebody else tells you what to do. But there's a great book, Take the Stairs. Like, why are we making it so comfortable to ride an elevator and escalator and never actually use our legs that God gave us instead of maybe taking the stairs?
Adam, the word forge doesn't sound fun.
Sounds like
It
getting
doesn't
beat on.
sound easy.
Sounds hot.
The word forge to me invokes heat. It invokes labor. It invokes just banging and pounding and grinding. To me, the word forge invokes all of those things. Is that what it invokes to you, or is that?
Yeah, that's the purpose. I mean, our brand has got an anvil, which you use to pound on iron. It's got fire, which you use to heat iron to make it malleable, and it's got a compass, so that once you craft something out of iron, you can then send it into the right direction. So yeah, this work is not there to be comfortable, and for one very good reason, very simply, and we all know this. It's the struggle and the extra effort that results from the struggle that gives it value. The easy things don't have value. So let's think about this. Convenience, easy. Things that are hard, high value. Convenience, low value. In fact, below zero value because it costs us our sovereignty.
Is that what's happening to the kids today? Because everything's so easy, they just don't value anything?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a poem that says there's much work to do and many loads to lift. Shun not the battle, for it is God's gift. And man, yeah. And, the more we try to, as a culture, make things easier or live in the comfort, not only for ourselves currently, but even next generation kind of stuff, the more we choose to dull as opposed to forge, as opposed to sharpen.
You see what happened to the kids who had the silver spoon and were given everything and had no struggle in their life. They grow up miserable. A lot of them take themselves out because they don't have a purpose, or they don't feel like they haven't had to struggle for anything. So, I mean, as hard as it is, sometimes as parents, as the generation leading the next generation, you got to allow them to struggle, or, even put struggle in their way so that they can find that purpose for themselves, build that muscle. You got lifting weights is a struggle. Picking up heavy things to build and tear those muscles so that they get stronger and bigger is a struggle. But that's how you get bigger and stronger.
Exactly. And there's something even combating that. And it's this, I identify as. You're like, well, that doesn't make it so, because there's no effort in that. It's just words. It's just, you're just talking. So tell me where the value in that is. Let's say I'm 5 foot tall and I weigh 100 pounds and I can barely walk down the street. And I'm with a woman and I'm walking in the streets of New York at 3 o'clock in the morning. If I tell her, don't worry, I identify as a Navy SEAL, you're totally safe. Does that make her safe? Does that change anything? It changes nothing. Like, don't worry. That's an example where if you shortcut the hard part, if you shortcut the effort, if you shortcut the denial of instant gratification, if you manage gratification, how many conveniences that suck sovereignty away from us, that depart us from our own masculinity, a result of that kind of convenience, or a result of that trait, lose their, not only don't have value, but they deduct value from our own existence, rather than putting in an effort, making a sacrifice, having to exercise discipline, and then coming full circle. And this is the beauty. You go through that, you go through the hard time, you make the sacrifice, you exercise the discipline, you keep your eye on a dream, whether that's 10 minutes from now or 10 years from now, and then you achieve it. What's the value on that feedback to yourself? And I don't care, men or women, whatever, to that lesson, to just understanding that at the end of the day, the universe is actually can be a very fair place. Most people who commit everything to something achieve that something.
Nope.
It's extremely difficult to find an example that is contrary to that outcome.
Alex is chiming in, man.
Mhm.
Alex talking about survival used to create the need for building strength without the need to survive. Building strength requires choice in modern times. You know, our next generation, man, is so latched on to identifying as that, man. It's gotten so, in my opinion, it's gotten so out of hand that, man, there's no limit to what I, not me specifically, but us, Universal, want to identify as. And to your point, man, you can identify as, quote unquote, whatever it is you want to, but, the idea that makes you that thing, you just co-opting that thing that you admire.
Hey, I identify as Batman. Doesn't make it so.
Yeah, well,
I don't have my billions. I don't have my Batcave, but I still identify. I want my bat signal though.
Yeah,
I need to make a bat signal.
I know you're wearing them underoos right now.
Man,
You
yeah.
probably still got them.
I am.
Batman underoos.
Hey, yeah.
But yeah, when we had to grind out, when we had to forge our own weapons, when we had to forge our own life, our own subsistence, then things meant more because we actually had to get our hands dirty, because we had to create some things. And we even had a conversation about dating and that kind of stuff, and men opting out of dating. And I kind of went on a rant and kind of pushed back and was like, come on, man, this is a product of us not hunting and fishing no more, where it's like, it's too hard, so I don't want to do it. And, we even brought this up a couple of segments ago of like, you had to make the phone call back in the day. Yeah. You had to walk across the lunchroom, or you had to approach. The whole idea of approach is kind of gone out of the window these days. And so, I think the underlying theme of all this is man, convenience has changed the whole game in terms of masculinity.
But it hasn't stopped the opportunity for it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just changed. That's why we don't want to be 50s males or 60s males.
Right.
There's no point in that. I'm not sure that was
That's
right.
gone.
What we want to do is discover our own self in this time, in the now, because the need is still there. Nothing has reduced the need for masculinity. We've just failed to provide it. And so just like in any economy, that's another way to look at it, supply and demand. We've reduced the supply. Demand is higher now than it's ever been. We just need some education. We need some new direction to know how to provide it.
Dude,
I love that,
man.
I love that.
That is filthy, dude. That's just stupid, man.
So right now there is a drop in the market. There is a lack of masculinity in the world. So men, you have an open field. You have an opportunity of a lifetime to learn what your particular brand of masculinity is and put that out in the world and find who resonates with you and create a family and create a community. And get someone with some other guys and do the same things, support each other. That's one of the things, this whole, survival of the fittest and it's all about competition is wrong. If you really look at nature's about cooperation. And for us men, we need to come together and cooperate, support each other so that we can turn this ship around and make this a brighter tomorrow.
Anybody involved in investing knows that you make money on the buy, right? I mean, and there's been generational wealth created in depressions, right? And so, at a time where we might be saying, there's a lack of and all those other kind of things. I don't think that's necessarily a diss on men. Obviously, we're all men in here, right? Shoot. I mean, and so none of this is meant to kind of kick us when we're down, other than, just kind of a opportunity here. And I think it's all opportunity, man. It's an opportunity for us to capitalize on the moment. Like, dude, I mean, Superman wouldn't have a job if there was no Lex Luthor. If there was never a downtime, if there was never a bat signal, how would Batman know when to come out and do what he does? Break out his little belt and tights, all those kind of things.
Don't be talking about my tights.
Hey man, I ain't judging you.
No, you're right. That's the beauty of all of this. Is the outcome has an opportunity to be more sincere, more caring, more loving, full of more gratitude, reflecting the honor of the beauty of God's creation back to Him more than we've done before. And that all speaks to the benefit of our entire human family. This does not benefit one without an equal measure benefiting the other. It's a total sum game. And we have that opportunity. Every man, you don't need to wear tights. You don't need to have a bat sign on your chest.
But you can if you want to.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
But the truth is you've already got one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was put there before you were born.
Speaking of the bat signal, Adam, how can guys
Yes.
signal you and get a hold of you and join the Forge and become part of this community that you're building?
Oh, the forge.life, the-forge.life is our website. You can find us on Facebook. That's probably the best way at the moment. We have our live event Wednesday, 7 to 8:30 in downtown Littleton at the Shift Workspace. There's flyers for that on Facebook. There's also signups and links to that on our website.
You said that was the-forge?
The-forge.life.
Life or lives?
Life, L-I-F-E.
Boom.
I'll learn how to listen one of these days.
Yeah. He made fun of me the other day, but he's on his this is his Make-A-Wish opportunity here.
Everybody gets their wish.
Yeah, he made fun of me the other day on that whole thing, but that involved donuts at Topgolf. But anyhow.
Oh, that was
I digress.
You know,
I digress. The Forge, man. I mean, that's one of those things. Yeah. We put it in the comments here, the website. Man, I'm Adam, man. Seriously, man, this is stupid dope, man. This can't be the last time you
got to come back,
man.
Oh,
We got to, man. I mean, this is just breaking the seal on so many areas, so many roads we can go down, man, and unpack this thing, man. And so, thank you for what you do, man. We appreciate you. Another brother out here on the battlefield. Following purpose, making things happen, and all those kind of good things, man. So we appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for hosting me today. Thank you.
Absolutely. We will make sure we bring you back. And for all of you out there in Facebook and YouTube land, make sure you like and subscribe, tell your friends, share. And until next time, we as a Madman and Adam are out.